Hi, my name is Angie Holt, and I'm with Datadog. I'm the SVP of Customer Success, and today I'm joined with Don Galzarano from Accenture. Don, welcome.
Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited.
Likewise,
Yeah,
yeah, excited to talk to you and hear about what you're up to and some top priorities for
yeah,
Accenture these days.
yeah. Likewise.
Maybe we could start with can you tell me a little bit about your role and what you oversee at Accenture?
Sure. I work in Accenture Technology. I'm a managing director in a group called Infrastructure Shared Services. We provide cloud hosting, managed cloud hosting for internal Accenture businesses and some of our Accenture client teams serving our clients around the world. So it's a relatively new group.
Okay.
It's just been formed about a year ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very new.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we're focusing on really trying to drive value,
Yep.
right, for our business units. We define that today as better costs, more rapid innovation, better customer engagement,
Yep.
and also something that is not always talked about, but a more secure solution, right, to protect companies from malicious actors. So we do a lot of work securing cloud accounts and securing our customers, protect them from from the bad actors out there.
Yeah, very relevant right now, unfortunately, in today's day and age,
Yeah.
right? Curious, like, how do you help customers articulate and measure that value, especially with the technology that they're leveraging to do that? Are
Yeah.
there certain like KPIs that you guys look at, or how do
Yeah,
you
there
measure that?
there are. I'm really glad you asked that question. I was really excited to talk to you about this today because I know this is an area of interest for you. Um, so there's a lot of different things that we do. There's sort of the base KPIs of, did we answer your problem on time? Did we
Mhm.
resolve it on time? Right?
Yeah.
It's things that in the IT world, are pretty boilerplate. But one of the things that we noticed was that the older models, of
Mhm.
doing that didn't really speak to the stakeholders that were making the massive investments, right,
Mm.
into the
Yep.
applications, right? What they see is their application and the business value that it brings. And the people who use those systems, as an example, right, they don't get overly interested in how many incidents I closed over a given period of time in a month,
Right.
right? So, one of the things that we did about a year ago was try to find different ways of measuring success
Yeah.
overall. So, for example, um, we ran a program called Application Modernization. It's a complete change in architectures running in the cloud. Okay.
Mm.
So, if I have that discussion with a
Yeah.
business stakeholder, they will say, well, Don, I don't really know what SQL Postgres is, and I don't
Right.
really
Right.
particularly care about Linux versus Windows, right? It's interesting to an IT leader, but it's not
Yeah, to a
interesting to,
business owner. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So like one of the things we did, we said, okay, we want to we're going to break this down and make it simple, right? We want to show them that we're going to run overall footprint. It's going to be more cost effective.
Hmm.
Okay. Our time to serve our customer, the time to deliver innovation is going to be faster.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one is it's going to be more sustainable because
Yeah. Tell me more about that. I'm
yeah,
curious.
yeah. So it was something, as sustainability efforts have ramped up and many companies have committed, right, to,
Right.
to net zero by 2025 or beyond. Right. One of the things that we wanted to really show that the business could anchor to, that even our CEO could talk about, is running in the cloud is inherently better for the environment because we know where all of the compute's coming from, and our cloud providers can tell us with clarity what percentage of the energy, right, that they're using,
Yeah.
right, is coming from clean energy. And some of them, right, have committed to 100% clean energy, either through renewable energy or through uh, carbon capture credits, right, over the next several years. So that was something, for example, right, that as a IT guy, right, I never would have talked about that probably 10 years ago.
No.
I never thought
No.
to talk about it. So I'm interested, like what, and we can talk more about it. I'm interested, like, what are your customers asking you? Like, what are they saying is important to them?
It's a great question, and it's something that we're looking at. I think obviously there's the standard ones like the median time to resolution, median time to detection, cost savings, innovation, uptime, all of the standard ones with Datadog. But we're really trying to figure out like what are you trying to achieve by using Datadog? What are some business objectives? What is valuable to you? And how would you define that upfront? And so thinking about innovation and the ability to accelerate that is a big one that could drive a lot of value. Or looking at ways where Datadog can help be more predictive in terms of identifying what trends are happening or where they might need to increase or decrease, like talking about cloud server space. Being able to give some insight into that and being able to help them be more proactive versus reactive. I think that that's the biggest value driver personally.
Yeah.
By leveraging different technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was also going to ask you, like, so as far as stepping away from the technology just a little bit, right? We've also found that there's like a large people component, right, to delivering value. Have you started thinking about that, or what's your experience been?
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of your people are your biggest resource to any company, to any business, and so how do you make sure that you keep developing your people, empowering them to be able to continue growing, but most importantly, with as a leader of the customer success organization, really want my team to be able to partner with the customer to really understand the business problem they're trying to solve and articulate that value. And so enabling them to be able to have those conversations, whether it's around BVAs, business value assessments, helping customers assess, are they getting the value that they want from the product that they're purchasing? What more can they be doing from it? Best practices, like empowering the people to be my team to be able to really partner as consultants to our customers to deliver that value. So from that perspective, you've got the external facing, right? How can the people better serve our customers, and how can we continue empowering them that way? Yeah. But then also the people perspective, right? They're all people, they all have their own careers. How can we help them continue growing their careers and developing as people and as professionals as well? And so that's a area that like I said, I think our people are our biggest resources. So investing in our people to be able to do those two things are super important to me. So making sure, role playing, you got to lead by example, create those opportunities for them, and then enablement, making sure we're investing in the enablement. And it goes back to like creating that culture at work, right, where people feel valued and enjoy being. And you need that personal. It is a balance between professional and personal. How do you do that with customers?
Probably sounds somewhat can be simplistic and rudimentary, I think. But I found myself and my colleagues at times, we tend to, as a group of people being brought in to help, right? We feel that we're expected to bring an immediate answer. Like, well, this is what you need to do to fix your problem. Instead of taking the time to sort of sit back and listen and really get to some of the roots, because the challenges can be different. So I try to stay in a constant state of learning instead of telling, advising, leading, ordering. That has been probably, if I were to say one thing, that's the one that I would lean to. Yeah. What about yourself?
Seeking to understand. It's another way to, I think, say the same thing, especially with my teams or with our customers for sure. Hearing what they're trying to achieve and how they operate, most importantly, right? Because the goal could be the same for two customers, but internally and how they execute that and their operations and what they have in place is very, very different. And so it's not a cookie cutter kind of approach. One size does not fit all. And so how do you tailor that to really achieve the most in their environment as well? So I think, going back to like listening, learning, and then whenever there is that tension or different views, you mentioned not always do you get to the consensus, that happens a lot, right? And the more people you involve, the more likely that's going to happen. So seeking to understand why, and if you do dissent or have concerns that this might not work, it's super important to kind of dig into the specifics about the why. What about it won't work? And not being afraid to go a layer or two deeper to see if you could find a solution that works, and being able to compromise with that, I think, is super important. because like I said, not one size does not fit all in anything that you do. And in your line of business, I imagine one solution does not work for all your customers. Each customer needs it somewhat customized for themselves.
Yeah, and that's a great point, right? So as a systems integrator, we have to be prepared to work with a number of different solutions, right? And sometimes, different groups are very opinionated about, what solutions to use, how to approach that. So that is an ongoing thing. I have a question for you because, I'm always curious. You're in customer success, right? You had a vital role. What's your advice for dealing with a challenging customer? Right. One,
Never had a challenging
never had a
customer.
challenging
Never had a challenging
customer.
customer. I'm very lucky.
Okay.
That's a great question. I think, not to sound repetitive, but the seeking to understand. I think opening up and trying to connect at a human level as well, I think goes a long way. Building that trust. I don't think you could have a great customer relationship without that trust. And if you have a challenging customer or a customer that sees something one way and you might see it a different way, I think really understanding and really building that trust, taking a step back, building that trust to know that, hey, we're all trying to achieve what's best for the goal, right? And for the customer, and not trying to force fit one solution, I think is super important. So without that trust, I don't think you can ever turn around a situation. But then understanding what are the hesitations, what are the reservations, why do you prefer one solution over the other? What works about that solution? What might not work about this? What are you most concerned about? And then working together to come up with a solution that has that checks and balances too. So if there are any hesitations that this might not work because of XYZ, let's put milestones in place or gates in place to kind of check that and monitor it. And it's super important to be able to be agile, right, with anything. If it's not working, let's pivot quickly. Let's realize that quickly and pivot quickly to find a solution that will work. So really that partnership that's based on trust, I think is super critical. And the ability to listen, the active listening that you hear a lot about. I don't want to sound like redundant or trite, but it is super important to really develop that and to come to the best solution. And then, hopefully we're able to arrive at a solution that works for all and everyone's happy, but it doesn't always happen sometimes.
Sort of pivoting back to the technology too. Do you find that with technology changing so rapidly, that some customers want to sort of dive right into the next thing or want to be their desire to be early adopters, right, sort of drags them back into that technology first, business problem after? Do you run into that?
It's a great question. It's funny. I would say 3 years ago, yes. I think, technology is constantly innovating and constantly changing and situations, environments we're around. I think it varies a lot. When you do have those tech first folks who are eager to try the next shiny object, it's super important to kind of dig in to say, what are you trying to achieve? Let's take a step back. What is the problem that you're trying, or the challenge or the goal that you're trying to achieve? And how do you think this is going to why do you think this is the best solution for that? I think asking that question, like, why do you believe this thing is better than anything else? Or what additional value are you going to achieve from this that you won't get from the other solutions or the other processes? Really are getting down to something that's measurable, that you can articulate very clearly. Yes, this is indeed delivering a lot more value or the best solution for me. But asking those questions and kind of trying to understand. And then talking about switching costs, right? There's a lot associated, like if you keep jumping solutions, there's a lot of learning ramp that goes along with that, a lot of historical data or knowledge that gets lost along the way. It could be disruptive. Having said that, like, you want to continue innovating. So there is a fine balance. So I think being able to really assess and understanding what you're trying to achieve with that and how you're going to measure that, I think is super important so that you could track, is this really delivering what I thought it was going to deliver?
Well, it's been so nice talking to you
Thank you.
today.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to
Yeah.
chat with me. I feel like we could stay here for another hour or so.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. Lots of good insight. I really love the focus on the people aspect and even going back to the business value and like making sure that you're the approach of not starting with the technology, but starting with the challenge and applying the best technology for that really resonates a lot. So appreciate that. Thanks so much, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you.